So maybe some of the people that are opting out are displaying some behaviour that kind of goes, no, I'm not doing it. No, this isn't for me. No, I don't think it's right. No, I disagree. All those sorts of things. And the manager doesn't have the skills to have a strong conversation or deal with that. So therefore, I'm going to duck the issue because it's too hard.
The question is, from Thinking Focus.
So the question is, why do managers allow some people to opt out of change? Hi, I'm Ricky from Thinking Focus.
Hello, I'm Richard from Thinking Focus.
The question is, from Thinking Focus, a podcast about how our thinking impacts our results and what we can do about it.
So what we're talking about here, you're talking about, let's imagine there's a team, there's some change going on within the team, but some people seem to have to follow the rules and get on board with whatever the changes are, and maybe others don't.
Exactly that. I mean, I've been in teams where you'll have some people who don't seem to toe the line in that new world.
So there's a new way of working and these guys aren't doing it.
Yeah, and managers allow some people to opt out of that, whereas others, they're held to account.
I've seen this before as well. So I think there's a number of things at play here, and you'll no doubt have some experience as well. I think one of the first things is that perhaps the manager or the managers don't know how to deal with it. So maybe some of the people that are opting out are displaying some behaviour that kind of goes, no, I'm not doing it. No, this isn't for me. No, I don't think it's right. No, I disagree. All those sorts of things. And the manager doesn't have the skills to have a strong conversation or deal with that. So therefore, I'm going to duck the issue because it's too hard.
What do you think's behind that?
That could be a lack of confidence in themselves, lack of skills. It could also be a lack of belief in whatever the change is.
Yeah, so if they're not convinced, then that's going to manifest itself in terms of the way they portray. So they're almost going to pick on, and I don't mean that pick on in terms of that they're going to pick on an individual, but they will hold certain ones to account that they think are less...
Particularly if it's a strong individual, because it can often be strong individuals that go, no, I'm not doing this. And therefore, if I don't believe in the change and I've got to convince you to, and you're quite strong, maybe opinionated, it gets quite difficult. So I think there's a bit of that happens, and therefore, once that's happened, it creates inconsistency and unfairness, and you get an upset team.
Yeah, for sure. Because the team will feel that there's a sense of unfairness going on because you're treating me differently to the way you're treating them.
I think one of the other things that might happen is that the manager perhaps perceives this team member as being very important currently, in the current business.
Yeah.
And actually, if we force them into a new way of working, for example, they might not be as productive or as successful.
Or worse, they might leave.
Or they could leave. And then that would mean, we're not successful. We've got a big hole to fill, big gap to fill. And you know what? This person who perhaps is a bit of a lone wolf and goes off and does their own thing, but does very well, in some regards, if you look at results, well, it's best if we just leave them then, because we don't want to upset them and, mess up that performance level, particularly if, performance is highly measured like it is in most organisations, and productivity or sales or whatever it might be. Therefore, me as the manager, I'm measured. So I'm not only managing this change, but I'm trying to hit a number, or I'm trying to, turn out a certain number of widgets or whatever it is. And this person's key to it, so I don't want to upset them.
No, and I think organisations...
So they'll get special treatment.
Yeah, they will get... You'll have a two-tier system emerge, double standards, and that doesn't help in both ways, because you're trying to get to a standardised approach. You're trying to have a way... Because measurement comes from understanding the way things get done. Well, if we've got a two-tier system, all of a sudden we've got a two-tier measurement approach.
Well, and you've got things going on in your team as well, because this person might still be being productive, but they're doing it in the old way. So that's not helping the future. You've also got other team members going, well, hang on a minute, we're doing it the new way, and maybe we don't like it either, but why is he or she allowed to do it the other way? So they might become less productive.
Yeah.
So in terms of getting to a state of doing the new thing, you're absolutely, behind the curve now, because you've got everybody upset.
And it's this search for short-term results against the long-term benefits to the organisation. So as managers, quite often we're held to, what is it you're doing this week, done next week? What are you forecasting? How are we going to make sure we hit this number, whatever this number is, or this metric, this key performance indicator? And it's that kind of allows us to, or we tolerate the lone wolf behaviour.
Yeah, I think so.
For that fear factor.
So I think one of the key ways you can deal with this, if you're managing somebody like this, is to think about how do you engage this person in terms of how do you get them to be part of the solution rather than part of the problem. So if you've got this lone wolf that's doing it their own way, what responsibility could you give to them around working in the new way? How could you give them something that means perhaps they've got to demonstrate the right behaviours to others? How could you get them to report on something that demonstrates a shift in the way that we're now working? So you play into that, you're quite an important member of the team piece, but you're also giving them a bit of responsibility that is shifting you from position A to position B.
That's a good example. I think that reminds me of an example where I had a member of my team who was resistant beyond all belief to a new product that we were looking to introduce.
Yeah.
So I invited them to deliver a presentation to both clients and colleagues on this product.
Yeah.
And they turned out to be the strongest advocate for that product and the most prolific in terms of selling that new product.
Yeah.
So, which plays perfectly to your example that goes, give them some responsibility, some ownership, and actually that took them on that journey, which was really powerful. So, a practical example of what you've just described.
And I guess one of the other things to do, if you're not doing that one, is to sit down with a person and to make sure you fully understand the reasons behind the change, why the change is important, to talk that through with them, but also to talk through their concerns.
Yeah, I mean,
and to start to unpick some of those concerns, and then talk about the impact of their behaviour on the rest of the team.
I think you're right. I think you need to understand what's going on in their thoughts, in what's their mindset towards this? Are they resisting the change because of a lack of understanding? Are they resisting the change because they're not quite sure about all the detail, all the facts? And actually, by sitting them down, you might uncover some elements that might help you to engage other parts of the organisation.
Because often lone wolves are, as we call them, lone wolves, someone that goes off and does their own thing, quite influential. They can be quite influential with others because they're seen as being successful.
Yeah.
So if you can engage them in the right way, you can really switch them on. And of course, the other thing is if you can't and they won't engage and they want to keep working their way, you need to spell out for them what that ultimately means.
Yeah, well, ultimately there are some choices around, is this the right role and the right team for them to be a part of within that. But I think, you talked about getting them involved. Getting them involved not only engages them, but it also can engage others as well. So where you can convert a lone wolf in terms of that new world, that new change that you're trying to implement, actually what you'll find is quite a few people, the rest of the team will come along with you as well. So, what's the summary to this then, Richard?
So I think summary is, you've got to deal with these issues. You can't let the lone wolf just go off and do what they want because it causes unhappiness in the team. What we talked about was engaging them in some way, make them part of the solution rather than part of the problem. We talked about perhaps if that doesn't work, helping them to see the impact that they're having on others and how that can actually hold change back for absolutely everybody, not just for them. Understanding their concerns, playing that out with them, and failing all that, helping them see there's some choices they've got to make because this change is coming, as well as ensuring that you believe fully in the change that's happening.
Absolutely, well put. Thank you, Richard.
Thanks, Ricky.
Next time on The Question Is.
And that's the sort of thing, because we go looking for it, it's easy proof to find. But actually what we're not doing is we're not looking for meaningful workarounds. We're not looking for how to make that leap into what is a different reality and make it work for us. And if we're stuck with change, we're just going, well, it's bad then, isn't it?
To find out how Thinking Focus can unlock the potential within your organisation, go to www.thinkingfocus.com. where you'll discover more about the work we do, helping our clients increase productivity and enable change.
Hi, this is Paul from Think in Focus. I just wanted to let you know that this podcast is part of a series on the myths that often occur during times of organisational change. You can find other podcasts in the series and some special resources related to these myths at thinkingfocus.com/myths.